And this is very important because, well, let me put it this way. The very first conversational hypnotist I ever met was, believe it or not, my father. I didn't know it at the time, and he still doesn't know it. But every time I get into some bigger trouble, I'll give you an example of what I mean by bigger trouble. About age 3 or 4, my brother and I were playing on the balcony with little dinosaurs and whatever, and one slipped over and fell down, 14 stories, whatever it is, to the courtyard below, right? So we looked at each other. I thought, that's pretty cool. We did it again. Well, long story short, by the time my father arrived half an hour later, everything in the room had gone over the balcony. And when I say everything, I mean the mattress, the clothes, anything that was not too heavy for a 4-year-old boy to lift went over the balcony. My father wasn't very happy about that. But, I don't know what your experience growing up was, but my father was a very, very patient man. Instead of just losing his temper and shouting and going, locked in a cupboard for 5 years, he just sat us down. And he looked at us, my brother and I. I'm sharing the responsibility on this one. And he said, what's going on? What are you guys doing? Do you really think this is right? Now you can imagine how much a 3 and a 4-year-old boy would be squirming under the intense, loving, but slightly disappointed gaze of someone like that. And without ever having to tell us what to do, without ever having to threaten large punishments and hell and devils poking you with sticks, somehow he had us always self-correct. And the key to it was always the attitude he brought to the game. Now, we're going to do an experiment about this in a few moments' time to see if you can generate the same kind of attitude inside yourself that will suck people around you into natural trances. They won't know it's happening, but they'll feel different. And then you have the freedom to do whatever you want. If you want to use a formalized technique that you enjoy, go ahead. It will have more impact. If you want to just talk to them like a human being, just from your own life experiences, from your own heart, it will have a greater impact. Have you come across the idea of state-dependent learning? Anyone? Just hands up. For those of you who have not, it's very simple. If you imagine your emotions to be like rooms inside of a mansion. Each room is one of those emotions, a state. One could be happy, one could be sad, one could be angry, one could be joyful. You get the idea? Now, whenever you're in a particular room, whenever you're feeling a particular emotion, all the experiences you have get stored in that room. When you're in the happy room, it's filled with photographs of your puppies loving you, the birth of your first child, getting married, or for some people that may not be happy, who knows, right? When you're in the sad room, the same is true. You're surrounded by photographs, images, reminders of all the things that are sad in your life, the losses, the griefs, and so on. That's why when you're in the sad room and someone says to you, hey, cheer up, remember all these happy things, you can kind of glimpse the happy room down the corridor, or you might get the glimpse of just a little photograph and you go, yeah, I know I was happy then, but no, I'm not really happy right now. You get the idea? This is a phenomenon that's been researched since the 70s extensively. So if everything you have learned is stored inside of one of these emotional rooms inside your mind, that's one of the ways to get at it, then when you switch your mood, your mindset, you have access to different resources. You know this, you've experienced this, and this is how a lot of hypnotherapy gets done, is it not? But this is also true for your performance skills. In other words, have everyone here in this room, at one point in your life, only has to have one example of this to be enough. Have you had one conversation in your life with someone else where you give them some advice, where you give them some comfort, where you give them a helping hand, some support, and it really worked. And you knew it. You could feel goosebumps on your fingers. You didn't even know what you were saying. You just know, keep going because this is the right thing to do right now. Anyone have an experience like that? Just one. What I'd like to focus on today is how to recreate that experience at will with any person.